everyone. Today's interview is with Zain from London Nootropics, they sell coffee, but the coffee has got nootropics in it, so it can make you perky in a variety of different ways. And more importantly, it tastes absolutely delicious. I didn't drink coffee for a long time after having worked in a coffee shop back in my teenage years, and you've actually got me back onto coffee because it's that delicious. And then you've got the benefits of various different things within it. Would you like to tell us about your products initially, please, Zane? And hello.
Sure. Hey everyone, and thanks for the loveliest intro. So yeah, we make coffee, like you say, like functional coffee. We call it adaptogenic coffee, because they all have adaptogens in them. So nootropics are things that help with cognitive function, and adaptogens are natural substances that help us balance stresses in our mind and body. So I could tell you about maybe each blend and the synergies.
Yes, do definitely tell us
Cool.
about them.
So there's two main synergies of why we blend adaptogens with coffee. So the first one is when we have caffeine, it's absorbed quickly and we can get a spike and then we get a crash, right? And then you want another coffee. Now with adaptogens, they can help give us sustained energy. So it's balanced and sustained. So you don't have like a spike and a crash, like you have sustained energy. And a lot of people drinking our adaptogenic coffees, they say they used to have 4 or 5 coffees in a day. Now they just need 1 or 2 adaptogenic coffees. And then the other main synergy is they're very balancing. So when people have coffee, if you drink a lot or you're sensitive to caffeine, it can increase your cortisol, which is that stress hormone. And when our cortisol goes up, we can get some jitters and anxiety from coffee. We can feel a little bit on edge. Some people are like their heart pounds. They can only have like decaf coffee. So going into our blends a little bit, Zen is our most balancing blend, and it's great for those sensitive to caffeine. And a lot of people will have Zen and they'll write to us and say, I haven't enjoyed a coffee in years without feeling on edge. But they
Mm,
find they can have Zen and they don't get any of those caffeine side effects.
I'm the
Now,
same. Yeah, I had
yeah.
caffeine side effects. It's made me. I've struggled with that before. I remember having a double espresso once and being so jittery, I had to stand outside my car and dance it off because I was.
Really? I
Yeah,
love
so
it.
that's one of the reasons. So I worked in a coffee shop and I got bored of coffee, and then I had that experience. And I've literally just swerved it for a really long time. But your coffees don't even the Mojo and the Grind. You've got three blends. You've got what
Yeah,
Mojo, Zen, and Grind, and even the other two don't send me jittery, which I think is a really important thing.
I love it. I love it. So, and the way it works is like, especially with Zen, the most balancing, ashwagandha in Zen works on our adrenals, right? Which balances our hormones.
Mhm.
And cortisol is a hormone. So what ashwagandha is doing is helping to balance our cortisol levels in our body, so we don't have that cortisol spike when we're having coffee. So you're
Okay.
nice and balanced, and you can enjoy caffeine in your day, and you're still nice and balanced. Cool. So that's basically like Zen in a nutshell, like the balancing one. If you're having a stressful day or you're sensitive to caffeine, you feel like a coffee is going to put you on edge, have a Zen. And then flow is all about mental clarity and focus. So it has lion's mane, known as the brain mushroom, and rhodiola, which is another lovely adaptogen, which is good for cognitive and physical performance. Now, flow is good if you've got, say, brain fog in the morning, you want to clear your brain and have a really productive start to the day. And then mojo is kind of like, if flow is to like wake your mind and brain up, mojo is like waking your body up. So it
Mm.
has cordyceps mushroom and ginseng. So ginseng's great for your blood flow around your body. It's really energizing. And cordyceps is kind of like great for natural energy. So what it does is it's known to increase your aerobic capacity and oxygen flow around your body and boost ATP, our energy molecule. So it's great like as a pre-workout before the gym, or if you're fatigued and you're tired and you need something more uplifting, have a mojo to get you going. And then there's a whole heap of other benefits to adaptogens. So like, for example, with cordyceps, if you're traveling, it's known to help you reset your body clock from jet lag and travel fatigue. So like when we're flying somewhere, we always have a mojo before we land or straight after we land. So when you deep dive into like different adaptogens, there are a whole heap of other benefits as well.
Hmm. There you go. Your London Nootropics in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So, tell us about how you got into this. And you were on Dragon's Den. What's your whole sort of story, your origin
Um,
story?
sure. So actually, me and Shez, so Shez, we went to school years ago, and I was visiting Shez in Bournemouth, and which is in the south coast of England, and we went to the gym one day. His cousin was a boxer and took us to the gym and gave us a chemical laced pre-workout drink, and we had all this energy, and we had a horrible crash afterwards.
They make you jittery as anything. It's really horrible pre-workout, most of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember looking at it and thinking, like, what is this? And it was just like full of chemicals. So we started having coffee with added natural ingredients before the gym, and just as a natural way to give yourself a boost. And Shez, being Shez, like, was friends with everyone in the gym and started pre-making our little mixes into pots and like going, try this, we made this. And people like, you should make this into a product. I would buy it. And we teamed up with a nutritionist, and first thing Amanda said was like, guys, you've got to try medicinal mushroom extracts and these adaptogen extracts. So we started trying them, and we found them incredible, not just as like a pre-workout, but for a whole heap of benefits. So I remember taking some, and it was like a light bulb switched on in my brain, not just like a business idea light bulb. It was like a physical light bulb, like my brain switched on for the first time. I had so much clarity, so much focus. I was so productive. So very quickly we realized that this isn't just like a pre-workout coffee. We're having adaptogens every day depending on what we needed in that day. So we made our three blends. We did everything ourselves, and it's like, okay, depending on what you need in your day, do you need to wake up your body and have some physical energy? Do you need to wake up your mind and focus? Or are you stressed? Do you need to balance? And we related this all back to being in your flow state and finding your flow. So flow state is kind of like a state where, have you ever had a morning where you're so engrossed in a task, like you lose track of time and you're just super productive and like, I
When
don't
you're
know,
present. Yeah, being
yeah, you're
present.
so
Yeah.
present, like 2 hours go by and you're like, oh my God, I've just done so much work and I don't know how. Now, if you're really stressed, you can't really be in flow state, right? Or you're physically tired or you're mentally distracted. So that's the three blends. Now, just over 2.5 years ago, we finally launched. So in March 2020, now we were hand filling and sealing every single sachet ourselves. And yeah, we just everything ourselves, no investment. And we launched online. It was the start of lockdowns and the whole COVID thing. So we were selling online. We got mentioned by Chris Evans on his radio show. I didn't know who he was. He quickly became my favorite radio presenter. And
It's good.
yeah, yeah. I remember calling the radio show. Like the first thing was like I nearly fell out of bed because I was like, where are all these people coming to our website from? And we called them and we're like, listen, I just want to say thanks and stuff. And they're like, oh, we're putting you through live to air. We're like, nope, no, you're not. No, no. And so that was that experience. And
Did you go live to air? Did you do it?
we started he actually said something about caffeine in our blends, and I was like, look, I just wanted to like clarify there is caffeine, but these are the synergies and stuff. But yeah, I was too shy at the time. I was like, no. And so we did that, and then a year later the BBC got in touch, or under a year, and they're like, do you want to do the show with us, the Dragon's Den thing? And I did not take it seriously. I was like, yeah, sure, cool, we'll do it. And then one thing led to another, and they're like, can you send us a video? So I'm like, Shez, can you come over to mine? We need to record this video for this TV show to like for an application. So we did that, and one thing led to another, and they gave us a filming date. So we were shown on Dragon's Den in February last year, and we filmed it the year before. And yeah, it was an incredible experience. I know you haven't watched it,
I
so
haven't
what?
seen it, no.
Yeah, so it was a roller coaster of an episode.
What happened?
So yeah, so we were explaining everything to the dragons. And then at one point it was actually really late in the day, and we've got coffee, like you need to have it in the morning, right? And we were there all day, and we didn't get on to film until like 8 p.m. in the evening. Now, the dragons are there filming from like 6 a.m. or something really early because they have to come, do the makeup, get the set ready and stuff. So we know they've been there all day. And I said, Shez, we got to bring the energy, right? So we went there, and actually the night before in the hotel, we met a couple at like 7:30, and Shez went up to them and like, did you do the thing? They're like, what thing? And he's like, the filming. They're like, yeah, we did it. They were like, but it was so late. We didn't get on till like 6:30. We didn't get on till 8. So we were like, they're gonna want to go home. Like, and anyway, so we're talking to them, and then suddenly everything's going super well, and they just started dropping like flies. Like the whole thing was recorded. We were in there for like an hour and a half, which is apparently quite short for like the time they film, and then they condense it down. And they started dropping like flies, and we're standing there like, oh right, okay, you're not in then. And then Deborah, who's one of the dragons, she was like, right, guys, this is where I'm at. And like it just felt like, oh, she's gonna say that she's out as well. And Shez was like, I'll stop you there, Deborah. And he just started talking. He's like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And she's like, okay, right. No one's ever stopped me saying those two words, but and then Sarah started speaking, and Sarah looks at Deborah and's like, her actual words were, I know naff all about coffee and naff all about adaptogens, but I like these guys. If you would invest in them, I'll join with you. And they've never joined on a joint venture before. So we like on the show, we're like, yeah, we'll and then we accepted an offer from both of them to do the thing together. So it was really, really cool, like a whole really, really cool experience.
Nice. Did you give them coffee? Were they drinking it on set?
They were drinking our coffee at 8 p.m. on set.
And did
We're
it
like,
wake them up? Maybe that was what the decider
they
was after
needed
the
a little
dropping.
bit. Yeah, it did. It did. The whole thing was like, it felt like 10 minutes. They were like, no, you were in there for an hour and a half. We're like, oh, okay. But they really hype you up before you get on, and they try and create this atmosphere. So it's not like a conversation that you would have with investors, say, in a meeting in a room. Like a lot of it was just poking you and seeing. Like I remember right at the beginning, the first thing they asked the same question like 5 times, and I just kept giving the same answer. It was about the numbers that we were doing, and they were like, that doesn't add up. And they just said it again, and I was like, I know it does. And I just kept repeating myself. They're like, yeah, okay, it adds up. And then I realized that, you know what, they're playing around a little bit, but they're making their
You
show.
have to be engaging on screen, don't you? So it's important to be able to do that. And if you were a bit flat, then it probably doesn't make great TV. So maybe they were just trying to
Yeah.
zhuzh you along. Yeah.
But I think it was the BBC actually called us, like one of the editors, and were like, do you know what? Like, you guys were an incredible episode. You're gonna get like a big airtime. And they gave us like the biggest slot in the episode, which was cool.
And did it make a difference to sales then?
It's been incredible. I haven't slept since February last year.
That's nearly a year, my dear.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like we've been so busy since. We still get people that like, oh, I just watched a catch up and I saw you guys and I'm making a purchase and stuff. So
Oh, nice.
incredible, yeah.
And how are the dragons working with you? Are they helping out with things or not so much?
So we didn't actually take them up on their offer after the show.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so we spoke with them and we're like, do you know what, this isn't for us and stuff. Which is actually what 80% of brands do after the show. We realized it. We spoke to other brands at the
Oh,
time. So it is just a TV show, and a lot of people are like, do you know what? They might help you loads or they might not. Some people are like, do you know what? I took an offer and I've never spoken to them. So we were like, okay. But then other people are like, do you know what? I took an offer and they've been really helpful and they've done X, Y, and Z for us. So it was kind of like a decision is, do you want to go on this journey? And they can do loads of incredible things, or do you want to still do it alone? And they were
keep
pretty
all the
much,
money.
yeah. But they were pretty much kind of like expecting that anyway. The conversation was like, right, guys, do you want to do this? And I was kind of like, what are you going to do for us? And they were like, this isn't how this works. And we're like, maybe then it's not for us. And that was literally, it was a 5 minute conversation. And it wasn't with them, it was with like someone who works for one of them, just kind of, yeah. But it was really, really cool. Really, really cool. Like such a cool experience.
Well, just getting the press from it and the publicity of being on the BBC, that's going to be incredible for sales. And then
Yeah.
hopefully people will try it once and then still like it. I met you at the Mind Body Spirit last year. Think it's last year, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I like the coffee, so that's why I suggested that we do one of these. Well, actually, I messaged you and said I need some more, and then
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said let's do a video because I actually stand behind the brand. I like your coffee. I think it's got nice elements to it, and there are horrible chemicals and a lot of different things. What about the? I know that I follow David. Oh, what's his living surname? The one who talks about bulletproof coffee. David, what's his name?
I know there's David Toman, but he's
No, bulletproof coffee. There's a chap that talks about bulletproof coffee and he says that coffee beans are moldy. Do you know anything about this? He says that most coffee beans are moldy and there's a big problem with them. And so then he makes bulletproof coffee, which has butter in it. It's got NCT oil and butter in it because it was to do with what the shamans were doing going up mountains with yaks.
yeah,
And what they were doing is having buttery, because you need fats to get your brain working. And a
yeah,
lot of
yeah, yeah.
coffee is moldy, which he says don't use most coffee because it's moldy. So what can you speak to those?
So the first thing on coffee with mold, it is a thing. I think there is a little bit of misinformation that people get scared. They're like, oh my God, what is this? But there are unhealthy coffees out there, right? So with our one, it's all tested for not just mold, but also heavy metals and other toxins. So it's super important to have a clean and healthy coffee. And the second thing is, we love those bulletproof coffees. Like we put butter and MCT in our coffees as well. But I know
Okay.
Shez is super on it. So even it shows, I think at Mind Body Spirit, he had a block of butter with him. He's like, "Do you want butter in your coffee?" I was like, Shez, they're learning about adaptogens to start with. But yeah, it is. And it's also a lot of people in the health space, they do intermittent fasting, right?
I do.
So with butter in the coffee, if you wake up and have a buttery coffee or an MCT oil in your coffee, it can give you energy. So you can continue your fast into the day and have your first meal like after midday and stuff. So it is definitely energizing.
Yeah. So you can have adaptogenic and then you can have bulletproof, so double bubble.
An adaptogenic bulletproof coffee, yeah.
Wow, that sounds hardcore. So, where are you planning on going in the future? What do you do? Are you going to make things so everything's in little sachets? Are you going to put them in pots at some point, or you like the sachet option, or what's your plans for moving forward?
Do you know what this? So the sachet is super convenient. They
It
keep the
is.
the blends fresh. They are you can take them traveling with you. They're perfectly measured up. But a lot of our customers who only have them at home, um, have requested that like, can I get a bigger amount, maybe in a pot or something? So we are looking into some tins that will be refillable. So it's like you can buy a pouch and just keep it at home. So it's something that we're looking at.
Hmm.
And I think that will be our next big kind of product innovation is like tins. And then other things like we want to look at blends for the evening. There's some lovely adaptogens like reishi's really good for deep sleep in the night. So people are like, can I have it in the evening? We're like, well, listen, it's got caffeine in it, so don't advise it. Wait to and enjoy it in the morning. So maybe some blends for the evening would be like a good next step.
Also, I have night tea sometimes. The ones that make you go to sleep, so something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And we're even looking into like some cacao. Now I know that cacao's got a tiny bit of caffeine in it, but it's a nice evening drink, like a hot cacao. And then if
Mm.
you have some reishi in it and maybe some other adaptogens that are very balancing, we're even looking into like libido blends. So something to get you going, yeah. Exactly.
Sexy coffee.
Yeah, I love it.
But would you make that one a coffee? Maybe not. You'd maybe need a daytime one and a nighttime one for that because sometimes, after sexy time you want to go to sleep and sometimes you don't. So you might
Depends when the
need two
sexy time
different
is, yeah.
blends.
Yeah, but maybe like a cacao that's like a libido cacao. But also
Mm.
like when you look into like I said with adaptogens, there's many benefits. Like cordyceps is known to be libido boosting in men and women. Like ginseng increases your blood flow. you know?
Natural Viagra.
But there we go. Do you know what? Cordyceps has got like a is known in the industry as kind of like a natural Viagra as well. So yeah. So
Useful.
maybe there's a libido blend on the way, you know? Who
Do
knows
you
what the
think
future
would they
holds?
be different for men and women, or does it work together quite well?
So I know cordyceps is good for men and women.
Mhm.
There's benefits to both, and even when you're looking at things like ashwagandha, they've done studies on, say, testosterone in men, right? Um, we've spoken with our nutritionist about it as well, and just literally just played around, thinking of different things. And she's like, "Do you know what? You should make a different one for men and women because we are different at the end of the day."
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, most medicine is just tested on men. I was talking to a friend about this yesterday. You know, all the medicine that we ever produce is actually designed for men. So when we're taking, for example, a paracetamol or whatever medication someone might be taking, they're not considering the difference between men and women, often in size and in, all the natural differences that there are between. So I think that's quite interesting. They always often get dosage wrong in things because it's designed for men. But
You know what? A lot of Western medicine, it's like they give you one dose, but we're all different. We're
yeah,
all different. And it's about finding what works best for you.
I think it's tolerance to things. I know that an obvious way to notice this sort of stuff would be giving a couple of people a few glasses of wine or something like that and seeing what the results are. Because some people on a couple of glasses of wine will feel a lot of effect. Some people very little. So it
Exactly.
is interesting what happens to people, and maybe there's a tolerance level or an intolerance level, or various different factors for anything that we're consuming.
Exactly. Even coffee, right? Even coffee.
Yeah.
Some people are good on one cup, and some people are like, listen, I can't have coffee after 2 p.m. because they metabolize caffeine differently, right?
And some people like to take it intravenously, basically, don't they? They just have
Yeah,
so many
exactly.
coffees. I've got friends
Exactly.
like that who'll have 10 coffees in a day, and it's pretty shocking, actually.
You need to get them the adaptogenic coffees.
I tried. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
They do like your coffees, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the future, you're going to have nice tins. How many people are in your business now? Is it expanding exponentially?
It is expanding exponentially. It is expanding exponentially. So we've got a core team in London in that office. And yeah, we're just growing all the time. We're growing all the time.
And you were saying before that you were sealing the sachets yourself. Now, how does that all happen? Do you have a factory somewhere?
We do. So we partnered with a manufacturer. We love them to bits. They're like a sports grade facility. So it's just outside London now. But yeah, they like I've like when we go and visit there, and I made a video and I put it on Instagram. It's like the sachets come on, and then they go on a conveyor belt like into the box. It's so cool. Yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What else? What would you like to, anything else you'd like to talk about, Zane?
How are you? How's life?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Busy, busy. I've just written a book,
You've written a book. Oh, no way.
which is coming out in May. Yeah.
Oh, incredible. What's the title? Is it secret?
I'm not allowed to share that,
It's a
unfortunately.
secret. Well, we have
It's
to
a
keep an eye out then.
secret. I'm not allowed to share it. I am in the editorial process at the moment. I've been sent the first four chapters back today, and I've been editing that before speaking to you.
Oh,
So
nice.
yes,
Well,
but I will
exciting
let
time.
everyone know when I'm allowed to share it. And we've been choosing the cover this week as well, and playing around with colors on the cover. So that's been an interesting one. So yeah.
Well, if you need someone to give you some feedback,
Oh, thank
some of the
you.
title. All right,
Yeah, and
cool.
it's really fun. It's an honor to have a big publishing house. Hachette are I'm working with them, who are basically like Penguin but the French version.
Oh,
Big
incredible.
publishing house. And yeah, it's really beautiful to be able to have a book deal. So that's exciting. So I'm doing that quite a lot, and bringing through new magical abilities to be able to dissolve and delete different diseases. So that's pretty fun.
Oh, is that kind of like the subject, like the topic of the book?
No, that's just what I'm doing in general. So,
Okay.
oh, the book is about, well, energy healing, because that's what I do, but it's also got lots of takeaways and practical techniques and tools that people can use to just live a happier life intrinsically.
Yeah. Oh, incredible. I love that stuff. I love
Yeah.
that. And then, with the energy healing stuff, is there
Hmm.
any kind of meditation involved with it?
Not so much because it's removing the blockages mostly. So one of the reasons that people meditate is because they've got a very noisy monkey mind, and what I can do is sort of just quieten the monkey mind for people. So
Yeah,
it's more of an awakening process. It's like teaching people. Well, I've spent a lot of the last 20 years in a trance state, awakening my abilities, and now I've got quite a lot of abilities. So it's sort of teaching people how to become, have to have supernormal superpowers, basically.
I love
And then they can dissolve
it.
traumas, and we can work on various different things. But diseases are based on traumas and compressed traumas and thinking about the traumas ongoing, and I can dissolve that, and sometimes diseases just fall away.
That is incredible.
It's
I
fun.
love this stuff. It's kind of like Gabriel Mate talks a lot about trauma and I remember I was listening to something I think he did on Joe Rogan where he went to like some shamans in South America, right? And they were doing some, I think, ayahuasca ceremonies,
Hmm.
which is kind of similar in the case of like you're gonna purge all this stuff out of you, right? And like release.
Similar, yeah. It's getting to the root of the problem and actually get and finding that little linchpin that's holding the issue in, and it's pulling that out, and then the whole house of cards of the symptoms of the disease or whatever it might be, or the addiction, or because it's very good for that sort of stuff with
Yeah,
ayahuasca. Finding that tiny
I
little
don't know.
thing which is holding everything together and pulling it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, so ayahuasca is very useful for this sort of work, and it's
it
actually
is.
quite similar to what
You
I do.
know, with Gabriel Mate, so he was saying that he brought experts and professionals from all over the world, and he was kind of hosting the session, but
Mhm.
the shamans were actually running it, right? And he said, because I think Joe Rogan was asking him, he's
He had to go out the room, didn't he? I heard this
yeah, he
podcast.
had to
I was
leave.
driving to the Mind Body Spirit in London actually, and I heard this podcast on the way. Yeah, he was not of the right state of mind to be able to be in the ceremony.
And the shamans were like, look, we've got to take you out because you're messing with everyone else's energy. And they were, see you, bye, bye, bye. And they were, yeah, and then they took him out and they were like, we've got to work on you individually because of his past and like how his story is incredible, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, you've still got stuff inside you, like locked away. I've got a friend who does breath work, right?
Mm.
And
It's
she does breath work one-on-one with people and it's like
mhm,
trauma release,
mhm.
and she will do like psychedelic mushrooms with people, and she'll tap into where they've got trauma and energy stuck to try and release it. So there's a few different people in the world trying to do maybe similar kind of stuff in
There's a
terms of
crossover. Mm.
releasing traumas.
So what's interesting about breath work is, according to Chinese medicine, the lungs are related to sorrow, sadness, and grief. So if you're actually doing breath work and deep breathing and sort of fast breathing and getting things out of you, then actually you can be relieving the sorrow, sadness, and grief from your system, because it just gets compressed there. So if you can get anything moving and dislodging it, you can actually release quite a lot of emotions, which is quite interesting. I
Mm.
mean, I've got one thing that I do, and I can delete someone's sorrow, sadness, and grief, and immediately their lung capacity increases. Sometimes it doubles and triples. It's pretty profound.
Oh, I love this. I think we're going to talk more about this at some point.
We may well.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else about coffee? Let's go back to the subject.
Going back to the subject of coffee. Well, I think I mentioned already cordyceps aerobic capacity. So it's known to increase your aerobic capacity. So there's something there, um, giving cordyceps to people to also another way to increase their lung capacity.
Could be.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Could.
But yeah, I think adaptogens are incredible. I think everyone should have them in their life and in their day in one way or another. Yeah.
And it's just really the future of coffee, isn't it? Because obviously caffeine, has got benefits. And if you're adding these adaptogens as well on top of it, then it's just the cherry on top. And then a lot more too, a lot of other added benefits as well. So I,
Yeah, I think as well, like with caffeine, like there's some stigma like, oh, we shouldn't be dosed up on caffeine all the time. like our belief is that caffeine's actually good for you when taken in the right way, right?
Hmm.
It's 100% natural and like in coffee. Um, but it's like we don't know as humans how to consume it, so we just drink coffee all day. But it's like with adaptogens, you're going to get synergies, you're going to get caffeine in your day in the right way. You're not going to take too much and you're going to get sustained energy from it.
Yeah, because it can, I think, affect your adrenals if you are just completely dosed up on it. And things like Red Bull are pretty awful, because that's got a heck of a lot of sugar and a heck of a lot of caffeine, and that does, isn't the best way of doing it. But if you can use tools and use them for your benefit and not just, throw the baby out with the bath water and assume that everything coffee based is negative, and actually see that there is a new way of doing things and a better way of doing things for your holistic and bodily health.
I
So
love it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of nutritionists that we work with who like previously they were like they went caffeine and coffee free. Now
I
they've
did.
reintroduced it and they're like, oh, we've been trying to get our clients off of coffee, but actually we can just introduce them to adaptogenic coffee and it's not going to impact their health like coffee was before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful. Wonderful. Anything else you'd like to say before we close, and I'll tell them where to find you? Anything
I think
else?
that's it. You could mention the
Yes,
special
there's special
offer.
deals. I
Yeah.
will do that. So, if anyone would like to buy any of Zane's coffee, it's London Nootropics, Nootropics. Is it?
PICS. Yeah, yeah.
New is NOO at the beginning. So nootropics, londontropics.com.
Yeah.
We'll have everything in links below. And if anyone does want to get a 15% off, you just need to use the code empowerment and you get 15% off all of the London Nootropic coffee products. I like getting I like the big box, don't I? You get 60 different, is it 60 in there or is it 90? 60, 90?
60 sachets, yeah.
Mm.
And if you want to customize the mix, you might say, like, do you know what? I love the Zen one or I love the Flow one. You can just leave an order note saying, I want more of this one, and we can make a custom box for you as well.
Yeah, it's really good. I think they all have merit though, because it's different times of the day. I do, oh, do I feel like this one or this one? And this morning when I was doing book editing, I was using, what's the book editing one? Mojo. Is it Mojo? No,
The book
I don't know.
editing one, Flow.
Flow, that was it. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was working it out this morning and I'm like, oh, I need this one.
Yeah, but and then we're all different at the end of the day. So you might find there's a certain blend that works best for you, depending on what you need.
And they're all absolutely delicious. So, yeah, details everything below and like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you, Zane. I really
Thanks so
appreciate
much.
you being here. And
Cheers. And